everyone, and welcome back. As I said in my previous video about vLENT, this year I am going to be reading through the Diary of Saint Faustina. This is what it is. And today we are beginning with the introduction section. If you have yet to read this book, I would highly recommend finding a copy. Just in the introduction alone, I have learned so much. And there's also been things that I have heard and knew bits and pieces of, but it wasn't until this that it all started making sense and I realized the origins of some of it. Saint Faustina's name was Helena, and when she entered the convent, she was given the name Saint Maria Faustina. Sometimes you'll hear nuns that change their names when they enter the convent. She was only 7 years old when she said she first felt the call to religious life. That's crazy. Can you think about that, a 7-year-old? But then again, I guess I felt the call to married life when I was much younger than that. So in childhood, sometimes we do feel those strong calls to our vocation. Pretty cool. And I love this part it says here. Back when she was Helen, she told her parents how she wanted to become a nun, and they were not feeling it. And after hearing that, she really didn't want to keep pursuing it. But then Jesus said to her in a vision, "How long shall I put up with you? And how long will you keep putting me off?" And it's just funny because I think of that with so many things in my life where I feel this strong call and Jesus is just saying to me, like, how long are you going to put this off? You know, I have my fears and my doubts that settle in my mind, and he's just wondering, come on, Kenzie, how long are you going to put this off? When are you going to do this for me? And I've just seen that so strongly in my life. So it totally seems like something he would say, which is kind of cool. All right, so St. Faustina's main mission was to remind all of us about the truths of our faith and also God's mercy and how much he loves us. One thing that is pretty notable about her and her whole story is that she was told to bring about this image of the merciful Jesus, the divine mercy image. I think we will learn more about that as we continue throughout the book, but according to the diary, Jesus said to her, "Paint an image according to the pattern you see, with the signature, 'Jesus, I trust in you.' I want this image to be solemnly blessed on the first day after Easter. That Sunday is to be the Feast of Mercy." So, and going back to Divine Mercy Sunday, I had heard of that day before, but it wasn't until reading this right now, it hit me that I'm going to be reading this for the 40 days leading up to Lent and doing these videos. Well, the following Sunday from Easter, when this will end, is Divine Mercy Sunday. What perfect timing. So I guess it does match up pretty well with Lent. The intro goes on to discuss the chaplet of the Divine Mercy a little bit, which I'm sure it will cover in further detail throughout the rest of the diary. But then it goes on to talk about the hour of mercy, which I had heard of because we know that 3 p.m. is when Christ is said to have died on the cross. And that's known as the hour of mercy. And I knew that, and I knew typically people said the chaplet of Divine Mercy at 3 p.m. and that it was a time to stop and pray and reflect all throughout the year, not just Good Friday, but always. And I guess it didn't really hit me until now that that was part of everything with the Divine Mercy, to pay special attention to that time. In her visions, Jesus had said, "Try your best to make the stations of the cross in this hour, provided that your duties permit it. And if you are not able to make the stations of the cross, then at least step into the chapel for a moment and adore in the blessed sacrament my heart, which is full of mercy. And should you be unable to step into the chapel, immerse yourself in prayer, there where you happen to be, if only for a brief instant." I used to have something that popped up on my phone at 3 o'clock to remind me to pray at that moment. And I think I am going to re-implement that back into my life because it's important to remember daily. With Lent, we are so focused on Christ and everything leading up to his passion, especially as we approach Holy Week and we are totally immersed in what was going on at that time. But daily, I think it's important to call to mind that hour that Christ died for us, just as a reminder prayerful time to honor him in that ultimate sacrifice that he gave for us, the ultimate sign of love that affects us daily. So that is something that I'm going to start doing now that I think of it, and maybe you should try it too. So let's all get out our phones. I have to do it after this video because I'm recording it on my phone, and set up some sort of reminder to remind us of the hour of mercy, even for just a brief moment, to remind us to pray. Actually, there may be an app for that. So the intro alone is really good to read. I like what it says here that Jesus said, "You are to show mercy to your neighbors, always and everywhere. You must not shrink from this or try to excuse or absolve yourself from it." I like that a lot because I think sometimes we tend to justify our actions, especially when it comes to things that are really challenging, like loving others. Sometimes it comes easily, but sometimes it doesn't. And I like that reminder of just always being merciful, always forgiving time after time, and not saying, well, you know, I don't have to do that because that person really wronged me, but always being merciful and kind to God's people. Following the intro, we have the chronological order of events, which is helpful to just get it in your mind, what's going on where, what's happening in her life, to provide some context as we begin the actual bulk of her diary. This book has already strengthened my spiritual life so far, and I've only read the introduction, so I'm excited to continue on tomorrow as we go through and read the actual diary of Saint Faustina. Please let me know if you are going to be following along reading this book, but no pressure, because I know this is a busy time and I want you to focus on your walk and your journey with Christ. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos. We'll be reading through the diary. Yes, the diary. So I think we'll read more about this. Mario? Honey?